So here's an update on the car. It's been an absolute disaster. So like it's been like 2 months or at least a month and a half since I put the headers on or had the headers put on. And the place I went through, they did a really good job on the headers. Things looked really good. And like you get the check engine light. And I guess you're not supposed to get a check engine light if you have green cats. And I have a check engine light and I have high flow green cats. So I have to get a tune, and you're supposed to get a tune anyway to get like the most out of it. And so I dropped the car off at this place. They said it was going to take 1 day. I was like, okay, great. So I drop it off to them, and then they're like, oh man, no, it's a new car. HP Tuners hasn't unlocked the ECU. We sent them the information. It's gonna take a little bit of time. And I was like, okay. So I stopped there after I picked up the car, and then I stopped there, nothing. I call them, no one calls me back. I'm like, okay. So like eventually, like they unlocked the ECU. So I'm like, okay, great. So I go and drop it off, and the car's just sitting there for like the entire day. And they're like, oh, we didn't get to it. I was like, okay. And like, meanwhile, like there's just bad communication. And I was trying to be really patient, but I'm really excited about getting the tune and like feeling what the difference is gonna be. Cause there's also the E85 kit. And nothing. Like it goes on for like a month and a half. And like it basically came down to like that place just couldn't do it. So I went to get the car, and like I left my E85 like 5 gallon gas can there because they were gonna dump the E85 to do the tune. And I'm like, okay, can I get the gas can back? So I get the gas can back and it's empty. And I'm like, okay, so like, dude, you didn't tune it. Like, why is the E85 empty? Like, did they use it in another car in the shop? And they're like, oh, no, like, didn't we dump it in yours? I'm like, the car didn't even make it that far in the tune. And so I get the gas can back. I'm like, whatever, man, I'm just gonna go to a different place. So I go to this other place, and he's telling me all kinds of stuff, and they were a little busy, so they weren't able to do it like right then and there, which is understandable. I mean, like I came in the middle of the day, no appointment and stuff like that, so you get what you get. And I called this other place. It was Doc's in Vegas. So I call him, and like I didn't feel like leaving a voice message, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go up to this place. Like I've had it, like I'm trying to get the car tuned. It's been like forever. So I just go up to the place. And also like you kind of want to see the tuner and like meet him in person and like see the shop and stuff like that before you trust like forking over that money. You see what I'm saying? Like I was gonna pay like $1,000 to have the car tuned, and like for me that's a lot of money. So I wanted to go ahead and like make sure that the place was legit, and the guys kind of knew what they were doing. And this place had like so reviews, so I was kind of like nervous about it. So I went up, and this guy totally on the spot was like, well, you know what, let me see if I can just get into it and see if they're lying to you or if they just don't know what they're doing. So he like gets his laptop, he gets in the car and starts like firing stuff up, and he gets in and like it crashes his computer. And I'm like, dude, it's literally just my car. And like on Instagram and stuff like that, some other dude had his 2019 Camaro tuned. I'm like, why is it just my car? And so the second time he ends up getting into the ECU and is starting to like do stuff. And I'm like, and this is, mind you, this is on the spot. No appointment, no anything, this is on the spot. And so he starts like tinkering around with stuff, and he's like, well, dude, you wanna go for a ride? I'm like, yeah, let's go for a ride. So I hop in, he has the laptop open, he's tuning stuff on the fly. And like here, I was waiting like a month and a half, and they're telling me like, oh, I can't get into the ECU. Then they got into the ECU. And then on the dyno, they're running on the dyno to see like what kind of horsepower it's gonna make. And on the dyno, they're like, they get to 60% throttle in the car, like ABS system. The ABS, basically what it does is it controls the brakes. And the car was freaking out. Like it just would turn off. If you unplug the ABS, the car doesn't start. And like as soon as it was getting to 60%, this is what they're telling me. I don't know if it's true or not. So like as soon as the car got to 60% throttle, all those issues started happening. It was like 408 horsepower to the wheels at that point. And so they couldn't get past that point. And basically, they just couldn't tune the car. So I'm like, oh my God. So through this docs guy, he immediately started tuning the car like on the spot, no appointment and stuff like that. I just got lucky. I think like it was just the right time and stuff like that I caught him, because he's a busy guy. But he's super friendly, super knowledgeable, and he starts just tuning this thing out. And like we go for a ride, and he just was like tuning everything. Got the car running way better. He took off the V4, so it's like it's an 8-cylinder. So what happens is like it cuts half of the cylinders down to 4 cylinders to like save gas, and it doesn't sound right. And I don't know, it just feels like the car doesn't run as good when it does that. So he disabled that, did some other things, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. So he basically did a street tune, like drivability on the spot. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. And like it ran like a lot better, but I didn't have the dyno numbers. And he was like, well, you can run it at the dyno. Sorry if I'm being long-winded. This is like a lot of stuff. It's just been going on for like almost 2 months. He's like, you can run it at the dyno after this tune, and like we'll see where it's at. So I'm like, oh, great. So it was reading 40% ethanol content. I didn't put E85 in it. So I'm like, did the other shop put the ethanol gas in there and didn't have it tuned for ethanol? Like, you shouldn't do that with the car unless you have it like set up and tuned out for E85. So it's like, oh my God, like they must have dumped it in there and didn't tell me. So like, this was probably like 2 or 3 fill-ups ago that the car was at the other shop. So like they put E85, and he was like, I think I dumped it in the car, but he wasn't sure. Like he could have either dumped it in the car. The place didn't tell me anything. So like, it's not good for the car. So whatever. It's reading 40% ethanol content. So I'm like, that's impossible. The tuner was like, that's weird, man. And I was like, I didn't put any E85 in it. And also like, I filled up the tank with regular 91, just the tank before. And I was like, wow, that's weird. So he just tunes it out for the 40%, and then I take it home, and I'm like, oh, the car was like way more responsive, ran so good. And I was like, let me just go ahead and like fill it up on like straight E85 to feel what it's gonna be. So I put full E85. I filled up the gas can, the 5-gallon gas can with E85. Got that all set up, and then I was driving home, and then the check engine light comes on. I'm like, dude, oh my God, like I can't win with this car. So like the check engine light comes on, and I'm like, I call him back up, the dock guy, and I'm like, dude, the check engine light just came on. And he's like, all right, just swing back through and we'll see what's up. And so keep in mind, this is E85, complete E85. It's not like 40%. It's not a mix. This is straight from the pump. Should be like close to E85, but I guess like sometimes it's a little less on the percentage side. But so I go there and he hooks it up to the laptop. It's still at 40%. So we're like, dude, it's got to be the flex fuel sensor, which was brand new through Lethal Camaro, like Lethal Garage. So like he doesn't use like used parts or anything like that, and it's straight through GM, the flex fuel sensor. So what that does is it basically sees what do you got for gas. So if it's 91, it's fine. It has like almost 2 tunes in the ECU. So it'll have like 91 gas, like 91 octane, and then if it reads that you put in E85, it will change the tune in the car for E85, and that goes through like your tuner to set it up that way. So the gas was reading 40% ethanol still, and it should be like closer to like probably 70-80%. And he was like, dude, it's got to be the sensor. So I went from there, I went and contacted Lethal Garage, and he was like, dude, let's get them swapped out. So where I'm at right now is that it has a tune in the car, and it has the tune for E85, and it was dialed in at 40% ethanol, and he changed some of the numbers and stuff like that. And he was like, well, I can change some of the readings, but it's not gonna be right. So it's just been like a complete headache. I have to wait now until the new E85 flex fuel sensor comes in. I'm gonna swap them out. Hopefully that addresses the issue of reading what the ethanol content is in the gas. So then after that, then I'll get the dyno. And it's not like this guy Doc is awesome. Like, he's not playing any games. He shoots you straight, and he wasn't lying to me. He was showing me everything in the car on the spot. So I'm like, this other place just, I mean, they just didn't know how to do a new car, I think. Like, they did a lot of older cars, but I think like this guy Doc knew what was up with the new cars. And like, I was like, dude, why didn't I go to him in the first place, or at least cut things off earlier with the other place? Because I was trying to be patient, and it is a new car, so like, it does take time to like break into the ECU and stuff like that. But this guy did it on the spot, and I was like, oh my God. So where we're at with the car is just waiting for the flex fuel sensor to come in. I'm gonna swap that out, and then I should be able to get some dyno numbers. Right now, the car is running way better, but it's still like a little something is off. And he said that there's a lot more power to be had, but he didn't want to mess around too much with it yet until the ethanol percentage was reading accurately. So, and also you guys will be happy with me. I did organize the garage. I know in like some of the other videos, I was like, the garage is a mess. Well, it's organized, gonna be selling some stuff. And sorry I haven't got a video to you guys in like a month, but it's just been a nightmare with this car. And I really wanted to like just hold off until I had a video of it on the dyno and just kind of consolidate like what it sounds like with the headers and what kind of power it's putting down and stuff like that. But it's just been one headache after another with trying to get it tuned and getting it like dialed in just right. So hopefully I get the sensor swapped out this week and I can get it on the dyno towards the end of the week. Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's what's going on. And stay tuned. I'll let you guys know. As soon as I have the dyno numbers and stuff like that. I'll even try to get a video of it on the dyno when it's doing the run. I'm gonna guess that it's in the ballpark. I guess our air density is different. It's like really bad air density, so usually it runs lower from what everybody is telling me at all the dynos around here. So go to Doc's to get tuned if you are in Vegas, Henderson area. Stay away from insane power if you have a new vehicle. I guess the older vehicles, they did some cool stuff. The guys are friendly, but bad customer service. They didn't get back to me on a lot of stuff. They did give me rides back. They did like work with me, giving me rides back and forth, but they just didn't get the job done. They didn't get the car tuned. So for me, that's like, they don't know what they were doing with the new car. The other guy, on the spot, dude. So go to Doc's, and I'll give you guys an update as soon as I have one. Catch you on the next one.